Now we shall discuss about the Indian rivers and the water resources. Before going into the water resources, let us see what are the Indian rivers. The entire Indian river system is known as drainage system. It does not mean the flow of drainage system. It is like complete flow of all the rivers is known as drainage system. We have mainly divided the entire rivers into two major categories. That is the Himalayan rivers or the peninsular rivers. The rivers which are originating from the Himalayan belt or which have their source of income of water from Himalayan region is called as Himalayan rivers. These are also known as perennial rivers because they have the flow for the continuous flow of the year. Throughout the year they flow continuously. When it comes to the peninsular rivers may have the seasonal impact on them because in summer season and in the winter season they may be in dry conditions or the level of the water may be less when compared to the rainy season. Now let us discuss about the Himalayan rivers. Where did they origin? The Himalayan rivers, as we have the Himalayas on the northern part, the entire three major rivers which are in the Himalayan northern part, that is like Indus river, Ganga river and the Brahmaputra river, are having their origins from the Himalayas or almost nearby to the same places. Let us see the Indus river origin. It is starting in the Kailash near Tibet and it flows or enters into India near the Jammu and Kashmir region, and then it has the 5 tributaries which are flowing only 80% in our country and 20% they are flowing into Pakistan. The 5 major tributaries of Indus are Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and the Satluj. Coming to the Ganga, the famous or the heartland or the major river for us, for Indians in the North India, that is also known as Indo-Gangetic Plain river, which is influencing the Indo-Gangetic Plain, that is, it is having its origin at two places like Bhagirath and Alaknanda. They two join at a place called Devaprayaga and form the origin of the river Ganga for us. And this also having its origin from the Himalayan region, and it has many new tributaries like Son, Kosi and all, which are flowing through Uttar Pradesh and moving towards Bihar, then some parts of West Bengal, and it's also having its influence in the Punjab region, Haryana region. So it has major region covering here nearly 3 to 5 lakh hectares of water is shedded to the crops using the Ganga belt. And the most important river is that is Brahmaputra, which is originating in Tibet with the name called Sangpo at a place called Chimayang. The name place is Chimayang. It is from China region because Tibet is occupied and controlled by the China, so it is having that name, and is also establishing near Manasarovar lake. It is also starting at the same place where the Indus also is starting, and it flows for in the east, towards the east and the south of the Tibet. It flows for nearly 640 kilometers and joins towards the Lodesjong place, where it gets connected with the Arunachal Pradesh region, and in Arunachal Pradesh it is called, in some place it is called Siang and in some place it is called Dihang, and finally when the Dihang comes and joins with the Lohit, it gets the final name Brahmaputra. This is the origin of the Himalayan rivers. We have 3 major Himalayan rivers, that is Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. Almost all are originating from the Himalayas, from the same place that is nearby to the Manasarovar lake. Now moving on to the peninsular rivers, we have discussed about the Himalayan rivers. Moving to peninsular rivers, we have the major rivers which are starting from the Western Ghats, moving towards the Eastern Ghats and falling into the Bay of Bengal. We have seen the condition like in the Western Ghats, we have the Western Ghats are elevated and the Eastern Ghats are not much elevated as that of the Eastern Ghats. We have a variation there, and it is slightly tilted towards the eastern side, means it has a bending shape towards the eastern side. This is one of the major reason why the rivers which are starting from Western Ghats flow towards east and fall into the Bay of Bengal, except the 2 rivers, that is Narmada and Tapati, which are in the upper part nearby to Gujarat, the Satpura region. They flow towards westwards and fall into the Arabian Sea. Now let us see here the major rivers of peninsular India are Krishna, Godavari, Kaveri and the Mahanadi. Krishna, Godavari attributes to be the largest rivers, and when compared to them also Godavari attributes to be the largest place, which starts its journey at Trayambak at Nasik in Maharashtra region, flows towards Andhra and joins towards the Bay of Bengal. Even the Krishna flow starts in Maharashtra, flow towards Andhra and joins into the Bay of Bengal region. Kaveri gets originated in the Karnataka region, flows towards Tamil Nadu borders and then falls into the Bay of Bengal. And Mahanadi, it starts from the Orissa region and then flows towards the eastward and falls into the Bay of Bengal region. Only the 2 rivers like Narmada and Tapati flow towards westward and fall into the Arabian Sea. To understand the mechanism of the water use, we have to remember the water cycle. Water cycle is nothing but the inflow and the outflow of water is must to have water there. Water once gets out, and if it does not get any inflow back, then it does not have any impact on it. Like water is not a non-renewable energy, it has to be stored, it has to get from the other form first. As we remember the water cycle, water gets evaporated because of sun, then moves into the clouds, then forms into the cooling, then from cloud it reaches back again to the land, to the normal levels. This is a water cycle. It should be there. Inflow and outflow should be there, and it is a continuous process. If this continuous process does not happen, it leads to the disaster of the water levels. Now let us see what is the inflow here. Inflow of any water content feels that precipitation. Precipitation may be rain, fall, hag, dew, snow, anything, which the water gets evaporated up and moves up. Then it forms into the clouds. Then it starts into the surface by form of a rain, or which reaches the ground, and then it reaches to the underground flow. If these three are occurring, then it is called inflow. If these three are in a continuous process only, we get the water level in the underground level, on the surface, and in the atmosphere you have the water vapor presence, which is nothing but the water presence. Coming to the outflow. Outflow again has two parts, evaporation and transpiration. When the evaporation and transpiration together are happening, it is called evapotranspiration. How does this happen? Evapotranspiration happens like evaporation from the lakes, rivers and seas happens directly, and when the transportation process is going on, like when water is being transported in the form of rivers moving from one place to another place, it gets diverted, and the fertility of the water gets, the quantity of water gets lessed up and then moves on to the other places. Because of that, the water content also reaching to the levels also gets down. So this is called evapotranspiration, like evaporation and transportation. The other major issue which has to be addressed is the surface flow plus groundwater. What is the surface flow? When the water which is flowing on the land level is called surface flow. When the water is flowing on the land level, like in the villages and all these places, when it is flowing, it appears like a streams or small rivers. When it is accompanied by a rain, the flow becomes like a big river, or it appears like a lake. But after some days it disappears. The surface flow is getting disappeared. It is getting diverted. The people will draw water from the lakes and rivers also in the villages, which is a common scene. Because of that, water gets dried up. But when it comes to the groundwaters, sometimes when the surface flow is moving on, the water penetrates into the ground and gets settled into the interior places, and it turns as a groundwater levels. The groundwater level increases when the surface water is high, or the rivers are flowing through it, or when we have heavy rains. But once the surface flow is not provided sufficiently, automatically the underground, it does not get penetrated into the underground levels, then automatically it leads to the less ground level of water.